Can you not hear me right now? What is it that froze? Is it frozen right now? Really? So you can't see me right now, huh? That must be, but can you hear me? Can you hear me? Damn. I'm back. Am I back? All right. All right, so what I was saying was people were asking about the Sam Harris conversation that I had about Trump. And the question was, did I lose? It wasn't a contest, but did I lose on the question of morality? And I asked, if you remember, I asked Sam what costs we've seen from these innocent factual inaccuracies from our president. And, I said, would the stock market be higher than its record highs? Would ISIS be more defeated than they already are? I may have had some other examples there. But if you heard that point, you saw that he offered no example of how these lies, these ethical and moral problems, translated into anything that was real. So, in his opinion, these things are both unethical and, because they're unethical, would have a cost. And my take on it, which I did not say as clearly as I'll say it right now, is that everybody gets to decide their own take on the morality of it. But if you're saying it has a cost, you kind of need to point to it. If you can't actually, or if you can't even tell a story in which the cost seems like it might happen. Like, for example, if the story had been, well, our president said so many things that weren't true that the head of some foreign country would refuse to meet with him because they don't like his ethical stand. If anything like that happened, I would say, well, that's probably a pretty big cost. But nothing like that's happening. There's nobody who won't work with him. They're falling all over each other to be his best friend. And none of the things that didn't pass the fact checking have ever come back to bite the country in the ass. It bites him in the ass once in a while when they say, how about that? How about that factual inaccuracy? But it doesn't seem to affect the country in any way, which is what I've been saying from the start. It's like, if you ask me, would I prefer that our politicians, whenever they talked, they said something that was always factually correct? I would say, yeah, I would prefer that. But if you follow that and say, when they don't, and you can see no cost from it, then do you feel the same? And I'd say, well, I don't know, if it accomplishes something, such as persuading people, for example, then something good happened. Yeah, why am I not on Mount Rushmore? We should talk more about me being on Mount Rushmore. There's a new James O'Keefe video. I have not seen that. It must not be that much of a bombshell, because I think I would have seen it by now. Nice try, Scott. So, one of the ways that you can identify cognitive dissonance, not reliably, but sometimes it really jumps out at you, is the people who just come on and say stuff like, nice try, or stick to cartooning, and they don't offer any example of what you might have said wrong. Who else would I recommend to watch on Periscope? I know this is weird, but I don't watch Periscope. Did I get a new mattress? I did. Hurts my back. The Fourth Turning. I forget what that is. I haven't read that book. Do you watch yourself? I've played back my own periscopes, usually just for a quality check. Flaneur? No, I'm not familiar with that. Do I hang with Eric Finman? I have hung with Eric Finman a few times, yes. Who is my BGF? Smoking cessation advice, please. I'm not sure I have any advice on that. One of the things that we learned in hypnosis class is that hypnosis doesn't work very well for weight loss or smoking because people still want to do those things. Hypnosis works well on things that you want to do what is being suggested of you, such as, let's say, relaxing on an airplane flight if you're afraid of flying. But with smoking and eating, people want to do those things. That's the whole problem. So hypnosis is the wrong tool in that case. So I guess I would say that I believe there's some new medical technology for patches and pills to remove your cravings, and I would try that first, actually. Defend Europe? No, I don't have an opinion on that. Yes, it was a black ice mattress. It was. What do you think about psychology? I don't know. Is that something that people have opinions on? Well, my hypnosis class talked about how you would get somebody to quit smoking. My point was that it's no more effective than all the other techniques. So it turns out that when people have really decided to quit smoking, for whatever reasons were persuasive to them, once they've decided, they can usually do it no matter what the method is they're using. And if they haven't decided, there's no method that works. Is civil war around the corner? Nope, not even close. We're closer to the opposite of civil war than civil war, meaning that I think the country. I hesitate to say this, but it's late at night, right? So can I give you the late at night thought? Do you want one good thought before you go to bed? You were hoping. So there are some predictions that I make publicly because I feel fairly confident about them, or maybe they're just fun in some cases. But there are other things that I just feel. I just feel it so strongly. And because I can't articulate why I feel it, I don't predict it, I don't blog about it, because it really is just a feeling. So what I'm going to share with you is just a feeling. All right? My feeling is that we're entering a golden age. The type of age that you look back and just doesn't come around very often. And I think that Trump is part of the golden age. I think that it will be led by economics and by a sense of innovation and, maybe a little extra freedom, optimism. I think there might be some international relationships that strengthen to the point where we can, draw down the military a little bit and still feel safe. I feel like if we can get our international risks in order, which I think we can do, the economy is poised to make a crazy run all the way to the age of robots. And, there are going to be just sensational technologies coming out in the next 4 to 8 years. So my guess is And again, the reason I don't write about this is that this isn't based on some rigorous analysis. This is entirely a gut feel, but it is so strong. I've never felt it before. All right, so I've gone my whole life without feeling the thing I feel right now, which is that America, at the very least, is on the verge of a golden age. Now, it's not going to happen in the next 6 months, but something tells me that when historians look back at the period we're about to enter, they're going to say, "Holy cow, that was a good time." Somebody feels similar. How many other people have that feeling? And in a way that you haven't had before. Yeah. See, that's the other part of the feeling. See, a lot of this is self-fulfilling, right? If enough of us feel like it's a golden age, we're going to go out and invest and turn it into a golden age. We're going to do things compatible with our expectation that things are about to not just get good. I think things are probably right on the edge of not just getting good, but just getting crazy good. And I feel like it's there for us to grab. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, and I think that it's going to sneak up on people, this golden age. And it's going to sneak up because the media is so relentless in trying to frame him as, a menace to society. So what it's going to take is, jobs coming back, manufacturing coming back, even if it's just small, as long as there's momentum. Remember, you've heard the word momentum a lot in the last few days, right? Happiness and the economy are based on momentum and optimism and expectations. So when the president works directly on momentum and optimism, he's putting, the one key into the lock that makes everything better, right? If the president were working on, specific details and he was in the weeds of these policies and stuff, I would not be nearly so optimistic. But because optimism is such an enormous outsized variable in how everything else, the economy and everything else works out, he's working on that directly. So he's just keeping the economy confident. Let me say that again. When people say the president doesn't do much for the economy, that's true in terms of making laws or, in the mechanics of government. That's very true. But we've never had someone who could work on our optimism this way. And that's by far the most important variable in all this. I think the robot thing will be mostly good. Oh, you want a really good late night idea? This will be like a little bonus for those who stuck around. This is a terrible idea. So I'm sure you'll take me out of context and make it even worse. So I was thinking about people who want to end their life, who have let's say people have terrible health problems. But they don't, and let's say they would qualify for doctor-assisted death because they're in a state where you can do that and they've got a bad disease. But there must be a lot of people who still won't do that for just the simple reason that death is just a scary thing. Like the actual act of dying is very scary. So imagine if somebody designed a pill. This is the cool part. Pay attention to this part. And the technology I'm going to describe, I assume, is quite easy. It's just somebody has to do it. Don't do it, Scott. Imagine somebody built a pill that started with an LSD trip then put you to sleep, and then took your life. So it was a time release. So you would actually experience, now pay attention to this part, you would experience heaven in your waking state. And then you would go to sleep, and if there's a real heaven, you'll wake up in it if you've done everything right. And if there isn't, well, you just went to sleep and you thought you experienced heaven. So right now, so my semi-prediction is that sooner or later there will be a pill and I don't think, it may not be in my lifetime, sooner or later there will be a pill that allows people to have an insanely enjoyable death. Like just the best death ever. The sort of trip that, we know every brain, even if the brain is, let's say, even if the brain is, got dementia or something, it just lights up that part of the brain that makes you happy. So you just light that thing up and then sail away. The name for that is overdose. See, I think the trick, though, is if you overdosed on like a drug that was a recreational drug, it wouldn't be recreational. You wouldn't like it. The whole point of that is that you like it, and then you fall asleep and die. The golden sunset pill, so it is named, so it is. Autoerotic asphyxiation. I know I'm doing my job right when somebody makes a comment like autoerotic asphyxiation and it's totally on point. Just the fact that comment was totally relevant to the conversation. I have a girlfriend. In answer to that question, by the way, I wasn't just throwing that out there as a random statement. Thoughts on right to die. I've been active in that space, so I have persuaded my fellow Californians, and we have that right here. As of this year, I think. Babylon 5. Good memory. I appeared as an extra on the old sci-fi show Babylon 5. Can your girl share you? You should talk to her. I'm sure she'd be happy to do that. No, she wouldn't. Just kidding. So long as it's not compulsory. Yeah, I don't think it will be. Which episode? I think the episode was called Transitions. I might be wrong about that. What is hypnosis uniquely effective for then? Anything that people want to do. So people want to give a speech without fear. They want to perform better at tennis. They want to be more successful. They want to relax. It's just a long list. It's basically the things that people want to do. The stuff that it's bad at is the stuff that people don't completely want to do, which is quit smoking. They don't really want to. They just feel they have to. All right. So does anybody have any other questions? Tell us about loneliness. How many of you have problems with loneliness? Just wondering, is it an issue? Nope, yes. 3 kids, yeah. That's all you need to know. Yes, Chantix worked for me. Nah, me, yes. Nope, never. Sometimes, yes. Some of it depends on whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, because we introverts tend to get lonely because we don't love being with people 24 hours a day. So it's a tough balance. So that loneliness topic is a long one, but I'll tell you one late night. This is turning into the late night Periscope. It's all the stuff I wouldn't say before 10 p.m. Is it after 10 p.m.? Yeah, I've never said this publicly. So here's something I've never said publicly. One of the effects of marijuana, and everybody's different, right? So I'm not going to make any generalization about other people. But in my case, it splits my brain in two, and I become a speaker and a listener. So in most cases, we're sort of like that all the time anyway. There's always a little voice in your head that's almost like you're talking to yourself or you're talking to someone else. But with marijuana, I become effectively two people, and I keep myself company. Now, I have no idea if that's some kind of a universal thing, but I personally would not, I don't use marijuana as a party drug. It's not that to me. I use it for medicinal reasons, of which there are many. Similar thoughts on LSD. Yeah, you're with me? Yeah. So I heard, and I don't know if this is true, this is just one of those random factoids I heard, that sometime back in the Dark Ages, or maybe it was in the time of Christ or something, if you went back far enough, maybe farther than that, I think, prior to religion, that people thought that the voice they heard in their head might be coming from demons or God, because we think in language. So imagine if you're some, backwards peasant a couple thousand years ago, and you heard voices in your head. You'd think it came from God or a demon or the devil or something. Now we modern people just think, well, it's just the way the brain works. There's like a little language-like conversation going on in there. But it really brings up the question, which part of your brain is you, right? Is it all you? Because you're all over the board. And if I feel like I'm two people, even temporarily, which one's me? Bicameral mind theory. I'm not going to tell you I killed a man once. I killed that man twice. You're the awareness of both voices. Lacan called it homilet. Okay. Is that how you wrote God's debris? No, that was not exactly how that happened. The observer is the real you, not the talker. What is consciousness? I'll tell you my definition of consciousness, which I don't know if it conforms to anybody else's, so something I cooked up on my own, but I think there may be some actual philosophers or scientists who agree with this at this point. But the idea is that consciousness is nothing more than predicting what's going to happen next, and then comparing what actually happened to what you thought would happen. That's it. That's consciousness. And you can make a machine to do that. Now, you would need some rules that say, for example, if the thing that happened that you didn't expect takes you further away from whatever you're trying to accomplish, that you, artificial intelligence, should feel something that's an artificial stress. And if what happens is better than you expected, you should feel something artificial like happiness. So you could quite easily build a machine that had the same kind of consciousness that you do. Wait. I didn't say me. That's the key there. It would be impossible for me to build a machine that I was sure had the same type of consciousness that I have, because I would not know what the machine has. I wouldn't know its internal thoughts, right? If it had such things. But I also don't know that about other humans. So I could certainly build a machine that acted to me exactly like other humans, which allegedly have consciousness. How do I know other humans have consciousness? Because they tell me. If I build a robot that tells me and then acts like it has consciousness, it does everything that consciousness does, good enough for me. I would pay money to do shrooms with you. I have I have considered that I might be the only conscious person in the universe, which would also make me God, I think. Or put me on Mount Rushmore. If you missed that first part of the Periscope, it all makes sense. What strain? Usually sativa. All right. This was your longer than normal Periscope by popular demand. I was A/B testing some shorter ones on specific topics today. And don't leave me. India is allied to Russia. Okay. I'm going to take off now and go to bed. Thank you for joining me. And remember, don't win small if you can win bigly.